but it could be. I mean, it very well could be.
Well, you were talking about feelings, him not being your son not being able to. I don't know if he's not able to feel, but you said that he doesn't. But it's funny.
But he's aware of it.
Right.
That's what's crazy.
But isn't there like this thing in serial killers where they like
Oh God, Lacey.
no, like they like they're unable to feel, or they lack empathy, right?
Well, they lack empathy and feeling.
Yeah.
And he has a lot of empathy, which is what I think is so strange. Like
I don't think Hunter's a serial killer. You know, but like
he's gonna murder us all.
Yeah.
But like, so he's been with me on 2 deaths lately. Like even when we went to Florida and my aunt passed away, and he was the only one there with me. And I honestly don't think I would have wanted anybody else there with me but him. He was so compassionate and so empathetic and so just knew what to do for me, knew how to do it, and he was only 12, 11, right? But he didn't have any personal feeling about it, which is strange. And,
yeah,
and
told me.
my brother, the same thing. Like, he's like, okay, like, I know I have to go through some of these motions, and I don't have my own feeling about it. You know, I loved him. He was great. He was my uncle, but okay. But he could see I was hurting and knew how to deal with me, which is it's just a weird thing. Like, it's really interesting.
Yeah, that's.
I don't think that's strange though, because
Try to bring it up a little closer.
as you guys know, my dad died, and he wasn't a major part of my life, and he lived with us the last 6 months of his life. My mom took him in and took care of him. I loved him, and I was sad when he died, but because he was a stray my whole life, I didn't mourn like a daughter would mourn per se, you know, and I think it's because he didn't play a vital role in my life.
Wasn't there a lot,
you know,
yeah.
and I
That's definitely a factor.
felt it, but maybe
that could very well be.
He didn't have
but
like
he
a
does
connection with him.
He does tell me, like even when something happens with other things, he says I don't feel. He tells me he doesn't feel.
Some of it, sometimes I think, is that just like teenager stuff? But we won't know that until he gets older.
Because you and Rachel in your teens felt everything.
It's heightened.
Yeah, you guys, feeling in
vastly different.
Vastly different. It's extremely different. The way that I deal with him, and I know you guys used to, especially Rachel, would get very upset with the way that I would deal with him. But I have to deal with him differently because he is different. And even my parents, when I was with them recently, they're like, well, no, he has to, like, they got mad at me because
they don't understand.
They don't understand. They, like, he wouldn't come out and socialize. And they'd be like, you have to make him. You have to make him come out and talk with us. You have to make him have dinner with us. You have to make him. And one of my good friends actually said to me, but Debbie, he's out of his comfort zone for 8 hours a day at school. When he comes home, let him be in his comfort zone. You know what I mean? If he's comfortable in his room on his game and that's his comfort, who cares? You know what I mean? He's doing what he's supposed to do. He's getting his grades. He's going to school. He's doing those things.
Sure, but like I'm a little torn with that. Like I agree with that, but then at the same time it's like, yeah, is he in his comfort room? Sure, but he does need to get out physically more, as most kids do nowadays, and they don't. So I think there's like a little battle with that. It's like, okay, do I let him be in his comfort zone because he has this issue, or am I supposed to push him like they were saying, like force him to do?
I've tried to push him his whole life, and it has never worked.
Well, he's still a teenager.
Being comfortable with being uncomfortable,
right?
But that's my problem. I think that's a lot of people's problems.
It is.
It's
so
different.
I think that's just common.
I understand.
I'm sure you know more. You live with them.
Reaction, and it's like, well, that's normal, and it's
right.
like, but I see the difference.
Yeah.
I see how he reacts. I see the difference. I see you guys had friends. He doesn't have friends. I see, you know what I mean? Like, he has...
Well, that's the social part, right?
He'll have one friend, and it's like, I can only do things with one friend. Or
it's strange.
He's tried to have, like he tried to do wrestling, and it's just like, it's too much. People say, it's just, there's things. It's not like he doesn't try. It's just, it gets too over, it's just, just different.
It's strange to me to understand it too, because him not having that social thing with having friends and stuff. But when you talk to him, it's like, why don't
Right.
this doesn't make sense? Why aren't you
But
having
he's
friends?
comfortable with you.
Right.
Because I
right.
was astonished when he told me that he's pretty rational and level-headed, because I've never seen that side of him.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
If you sit down with him and talk, that's why I was like, I told him one day, I was like, when we went to wash your car, we were waiting for the car to get washed, and I was sitting with him on a little bench or whatever, and we were just talking about life, like straight. And I go, "You want to be on my podcast?"
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, even though he's 15, he could really have a conversation with you.
He's amazing.
And it's impressive.
He's amazing.
It's like the way he thinks at 15 is the way I started thinking in my late 20s. At 15, when I was 15, I didn't know shit. I was just like, where's the next punk show?
Yeah.
You know what? I didn't have no other word. I didn't internally think about shit.
It's also, times have changed
That
drastically.
too. Yeah.
In
That
such
could be a
short
reason
period
too.
of time.
Yeah, I grew up with, pagers and Walkman.
Well,
I showed. Remember, I told you this, Mom. I have a little brother. He's 15. Okay, I had a picture of Bugs Bunny, Tweety Bird, a couple of the
Roadrunner.
Looney Tunes. I showed him the picture. I go,
Like a poster?
it's like you see
It's
in
in
my
the
bathroom.
bathroom.
Oh, okay.
It's like a little cartoon drawing, and I framed it, but it's got
Porky
a couple
Pig.
of the they're Looney Tunes, right? Bugs Bunny, they're Looney Tunes. And I go, you see anybody? You recognize anybody in this picture? And he's like, and just just
Stop.
the second he went, I'm like, oh my God. Like, he goes, that's Bugs Bunny, right? It's like totally different time. But, my point is, whether it be a different time for cartoons, there's a different time, socially too.
Yeah.
Internet, social media.
But a lot of his friends
kids
have
grow up
friends.
fast now.
His friends, like the friends that he does have friends. You know what I mean? He is like the one that doesn't. And he's such a great
Well, I don't have any
kid.
friends either.
Well, but I kind of get
He's
that
such
because
a great kid.
I
and
kinda-
he's so funny.
I wonder-
he's fucking funny.
I wonder if he has similarities that I have in terms of like when you're being social, the second you leave that social situation, you're like, whew, like that took a lot out of me.
Sure.
Like I feel like
Yeah.
a lot of the times when I'm around people and talking to people, like obviously family or certain close friends I have no problem with, but like acquaintances, or I feel like I have to like almost like I'm on stage doing a performance. Like I have to do it all correct. Like, and then once I'm done with the conversation, I'm like, whew, hope I got that. Like it's like a battle of. I wonder if he has that same social.
I'm sure he does.
Like it's draining.
Yeah,
Like
I'm sure
social
it is.
being social is draining because
I'll have to ask him.
I have that problem.
I'll have to ask him. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the one thing. At least he's open about everything that's going on. With
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
He's very open.
Being aware.
Yeah,
you
he's
know-
very aware of what is happening with him.
You've told me before. He actually came to you
Mhm.
and was like, I think
Wanted
there's
to know.
something wrong with me. Let's go
Oh.
check it out.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah.
And what he said that when he was
Well,
14.
Yeah,
13,
well,
14.
through his whole life, he's had things, and like people even in restaurants have come up to me, like seeing him rock or whatever, and they'd be like, "Oh, your son has autism," blah blah blah, and I'm like, "No, But I never put him through that. I didn't want to
You won't put labels.
label him so that he grew up going, "I have autism," and
Right, it'll-
that's who he made his. Well, that's what he made his identity.
It might
be.
put his life in some sort of
right.
trajectory that
I wanted him to
didn't
grow
have
up.
to be
Well, I just wanted him to grow up being
normal.
Hunter.
Right.
Whether he has something like Rachel too, she has ADHD. She found that out when she
These
was
are my
18.
siblings.
Right? I don't.
Hey, we all got
You're
it.
gonna grow up the way that you're gonna grow up, and when you're at the age that you want to find out, and you think there may be something off, then you can figure it out for yourself.
Sure.
But I am not going to label you. I'm just not.
Yeah.
You're gonna be my kid, and you're gonna be you,
Yeah.
and you're gonna be.
Unless it's inhibiting them from doing something.
Sure, but it hasn't inhibited them.
It hasn't,
in that way.
but it got.
Yeah.
But this is a slightly different situation to where he brought it up.
He wanted to know.
Right.
Yeah.
You had that whole thing where it's like, I'm just gonna let it be. I don't want to put labels. I don't want to make him think a certain way. But he actually is so aware that he thought of it himself, which is mind blowing to me.
But it's funny because when we were in the like one of the psychiatrist's office, and we were talking about how he won't have eye contact with people and he won't do things, and
I guess I got.
and she was like talking about that with me after, and I was telling him in the car on the way home, I was saying, you don't have. He goes, "What do you mean? I looked at her in the eye the whole time." I'm like,
Oh wow.
No, you didn't, Hunter.
You told that to me the other day when my Uncle Jeremy came through the house. He was like, "Hey, Tyler," and I looked at him for like a glance. I'm like, "Hey, Jeremy," and I guess my mom didn't. She's like, "You didn't even look at him."
Well, I have a girlfriend who looks at my chest the whole time. Not like me personally, but who talks to you and stares down here the whole time.
Can't look you in the eye.
Who does, or you don't have to say the person, but
yeah, she like will have a conversation with
someone you know,
whoever, and she looks at you and then goes like this, like looks down at your chest the whole time. And I don't know if it's like a fixation or
that could be a.
That's just, I think it's just a distraction.
I think
like
it's uncomfortable and maybe a little insecurity.
Well, a lot of people when they talk, like, it's hard for me. Like, it depends.
A lot of people can't look people in the eye.
No,
it's
really it's really hard for me to like, if I'm comfortable with the person, like you two, I could stare at you guys. It doesn't matter. But most people, like, when we're talking, like, I have to
take a break,
go back, like, look away, go back at them. Like, it's weird. I don't know.
See, I look everybody in the eye.
So
always.
If I look like a stranger or an acquaintance in the eye long enough, I feel my face start getting hot. And so I have to, like, it's so weird.
That's an insecurity within you, and it's a little bit of a I don't want to say,
because well, I know I have some insecurities like that, but if I'm comfortable with you, like if you guys are my family, those insecurities go away.
Right.
Yeah,
why is that?
That's everywhere.
Because I know you guys are. I'm stuck with you guys. Is that why?
Well, you're comfortable, and being comfortable is
a big
changes.
thing.
Yeah, I have another friend who will go out and she'll talk to everybody, and in my head, I'm like, I don't talk, and they always think like, oh, well, your friend's a bitch, and she talks to everybody, and then in my head, I'm like, you talk too much, but not literally talking too much, but the whole time I'm thinking like, why would you just say that?
Just jumps right into being themselves right away.
I would be so embarrassed to say that.
Yeah, I can't do that. It takes me a couple visits and hangouts for a certain, like,
and observing. And, like taking it all in.
For example, like my best friend AJ. I don't know if you know AJ.
I don't think so.
Shout out to AJ. She had a group of friends that she met, and
is she one of the Gemini fairies?
Yeah. and so she introduced me to these new group of friends, and I'm a shy person at first. So the first time we all hung out, I wasn't saying anything. The second time I was kind of like, all right, I'm starting to get to know their names. By the third time I got there, when I arrived at the house where they're all hanging out, they threw up their hands, Tyler! And I was like, it's like, it takes me a couple times.
Me too.
I can't just
Most
jump
people are
into
like
it.
that.
I
Most
can't
people
jump
are like
into
Unless
it.
I'm drunk, and then I'll die
Right,
at first.
Yeah.
Because like, you're not the person I met last week.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit because you don't want to make that weird first impression. You want to be like, I think it's about a first impression type of thing. But also maybe shyness.
That goes along with I don't want to say self-confidence, because that's not true, because I have a lot of self-confidence, but I'm also very much a step back and be aware of my surroundings before. But it doesn't take me as long. Like, I can be around and be aware, and then I'm like, okay, I vibe with this person, I vibe with that. I have to see how people are and how they react, and where my vibe kind of is, like what I'm drawn to.
Yeah, I could agree with that, and I'm the same way, because I've met people like, with the example I just said, where it takes a couple days. I've actually met people where it's like right away, like you vibe with. There's certain people that you just vibe with right away, and it's crazy how that happens.
Also
like,
depends on your surroundings and where you're at,
how you're feeling that day.
Right.
There's a lot of factors. Yeah. Being social
sometimes
is a
in
weird
a mode,
thing.
Sometimes in a mode I just don't want to talk. And then sometimes in a mode I'm like,
yeah.
I'll talk to everybody.
Sometimes I feel like that too, and I'll have to explain to my friends that I'm hanging around with, like, it's not that, I don't want to talk right now. And that goes along with when it drains me when I'm social. That goes along with that. It's like really hard for me to it's like, it feels like I'm going to the gym when I'm being social. It's like, all right, can I get off this treadmill? And then when I'm done being social, it's like I got off a treadmill. It's like, whew.
Well, Ryan, my husband, is extremely quiet. And sometimes I have to remind myself.
Try to bring it up.
Sometimes I have to remind myself, like, everything's okay. You guys aren't fighting. Because sometimes we'll go on long drives and he won't say anything for an hour.
But that's the comfortable silences that you want in a
Yeah.
marriage.
And
You
when
know,
100%,
you hear
yeah.
crickets, and I'm like,
beautiful.
what the f-
Yeah, no,
something's
honest.
going on here. But it's been like that,
Yeah.
and I have to remind myself that it's just him.
Right.
He's just
It could be just him. It also could be like she said, the comfortability.
yeah.
It's the comfortable silence where you don't feel like
Why
you
don't
have
you-
to
why don't-
entertain you. He
And
doesn't have to
sometimes-
entertain you.
Why don't
Right.
why don't
Yeah.
you? That's
But he
another thing you have to
doesn't.
bring up.
And
you know?
sometimes when we went to the Bahamas, I was blown away. Sometimes he was talking so much. I was like, okay, you don't have to tell him where we went and what store we went to and what color shoes
think
we
he was
were.
just
You
on
know, I'm like, you
vacation
just shut the fuck up. You know, I was so surprised. So, I mean, you get a little bit of that, and
I think it's
I think
also
that's how I am.
surroundings too, because me being not very social a lot, when I go to someplace like a Vegas I turn or like I light up and I'm like woo, and I'm talking to people like so like kind of reminds me of that. Like maybe he was in vacation mode and he was just like
yeah, he
You know,
and he tells me
out
he's
of his
like,
shell.
I'm a man of few words, and that's just it
And he is.
And he is. He is.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it makes
like Little
people
John. Huh?
uncomfortable.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No, we don't want that. No, we don't want that.
This one. What wine is this?
I don't know. I groomed a dog, and
It
Pugs N
one of my
Bubbles.
Pugs and Bubbles, guys.
Pugs and Bubbles now.
One of my
what's your
customers-
Instagram or number that they could
Pugs and Bubbles, Ty. DM me.
Instagram?
Yeah.
Pugs and Bubbles.
And then
You heard
I'll-
it. You
yeah.
heard it here.
He gave me this wine. He asked if I drank, and he said he doesn't drink, and he brought me this wine, and here we are drinking it. It's
see.
been in my cabinet for like 4 months. I haven't seen him since, actually.
Is,
It's like, here you go.
That was his goodbye gift.
is this the name of it? Intrasync?
I think it's a cab.
Yeah, Cabernet. You know, I fucking used to hate wine, but ever since like my whole kidney thing, I started looking into more healthy options because the doctors were like, I asked them, I was like, so I can't drink. They're like, nobody said you can't drink. Just
Moderation.
moderation and observe and be aware. And I started looking it up, and the healthiest thing really to drink is like clear, like vodka, things like
Yeah.
that, and
Mhm.
wine. But wine's very sugary.
They
I've
have
heard-
organic, unsugary wines that you can
Yeah?
get.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Whole Foods probably.
Mhm.
You
Whole
know-
Foods is good.
You know what we need to do? Go to one of those vineyard train rides.
Yeah, but every time I drink wine, I get drunk and my head feels so
No.
heavy.
Oh,
I'm like,
really?
it's like a
I love the wine. drink.
heavy, like, yeah.
I like
and
the wine.
champagne too. Like,
I don't
get
like
me
champagne.
all the way fucked up.
I
My
don't wa-
head feels
I've,
heavy.
I've never been buzzed or drunk on champagne. I've had glasses, but I'm like,
Oh, I
it's
have.
different.
It's a different-
It's
Really?
yeah, I
different.
have.
Yes.
Mhm.
Mm.
But you have to have a good champagne. Like, if you
Yes.
get drunk on a cheap champagne, you're fucking hungover as hell.
Yeah.
I think that goes
Booze-
for every drink, right? You
Probably.
get
yeah,
what you
but
pay
I
for.
feel
But
like more so champagne,
Really?
is
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. But if you have a good champagne,
Vouv, guys, Vouv. It's pretty good.
But no, we were looking up for Rachel's birthday, and I want us to do this. We have to do this, you guys. In Napa, they have
Yeah, Napa.
a wine train, right?
That's what I was
That
thinking.
is a murder mystery,
Oh.
and you dress up in like you can pick like the 1920s, and it's a train robbery, or you can do the 80s, and it's something else. But you dress up in the character, and it's an overnight train murder mystery where you go and it's a wine tasting the whole time.
Oh, fine.
I want to do that so
It's like
bad.
you're trying to solve a mystery while you're drunk off your ass.
Yes.
I don't know.
Funny. I
I
had
want to do it so bad.
Let's
yeah,
do it.
I had an ex-boyfriend.
That's in the Bay Area, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And for the New Year's, we all had a character. I don't know what it was called, but we all had our character and had a list of things we could say and what we couldn't say. And then we'd all have to kind of interact and talk with everybody and gather information. And at the end of it all,
This was at like a house or something?
yeah, it was for New Year's. It was like a
Okay.
Well, that sounds fun.
1920s
Yeah.
maybe, and
That
everyone had a
sounds awesome.
character. And then at the end, you had to figure out who was the killer.
That's like so.
We
It's
should
like
do that.
live Clue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
We
But
can
awesome.
you
do
could do it at. I've been wanting to play that dang game.
The actual board game.
It was Mr. Colonel Mustard with the knife in the red room.
No, I have it at home. We should play it.
He's in the library.
We should do a game night, guys.
We should.
Yeah.
We planned it.
We're going to do it at
my house.
Okay.
But I want to do it on shrooms.
Make it interesting.
Yes.
I really know who the killer is.
I'm not letting her do that.
No, I told Madison, and she said it would be fun.
It's like I really sense who the killer is.
I
can
laughing
feel it
the whole time.
Yeah, it's like you're laughing the whole time, and then you're like, oh shit, I'm the killer. You don't even realize it. No, that game's fun. I love board games, board game nights and shit like that. That's always good. I miss playing board games. You know what I was gonna do?
You have the best house to plan stuff at. We gotta plan some more stuff at your house, Lacey.
I don't got anything in there.
This is a good table for board game. You know what I was gonna do? Like when I was trying to figure out like what podcasts to do and things like that, I had an idea of a board game podcast. I was gonna put a camera on the ceiling pointing down at the table, and I would play a board game with somebody and film it. Maybe drink, whatever. And so there'd be a camera pointing down at the board, and then a camera at us.
Just to record your
strategy
or something.
Yeah. Well, look, how popular is it? All these kids watching other kids play video games.
I think that is the weirdest thing. I don't understand
right?
it.
So I'm gonna, do board games.
I think it's a little boring.
Yeah. That's why they call them board games. They're boring. People are like, I don't watch
every
this
single
shit.
time, but there's been times where Ryan and I will play Jenga on shrooms, and everyone's like, "Why do you play that game?" And I'm like, "It's so fun."
It's like, you don't understand.
He'll take a piece out, and he's just like
it's just
analyzing
so funny.
it, and I'm like, God, I don't know how he's gonna do that. And then and he fucks with me so bad, and he'll take it out so easily and just pop it on the top, and then
like it just looks so.
Yeah, and then his friend's like, "You're a piggyback bitch, Ryan, for that." But in your head, you're like so focused and concentrated on what he's doing.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, we should do it.
So I was telling Tyler, I don't know if I could do that.
Why?
Well, we were talking about doing like ayahuasca and things like that.
And
so it was the control thing,
it's
right?
It's a control thing with me. So I've done so much stuff in my life, and I got to the point where, and this is kind of one of the reasons why I stopped, was I didn't like not being in control of my life anymore, and from doing so much of that and having so much of that, I don't know. I have like this fear of it in a way, where I don't know that I could enjoy something like that, because I think the control thing of like, okay, I can't stop this.
So exactly.
I can't stop it. I can't make it stop.
This is the thing with
you're the expert.
This is the thing with something like ayahuasca. It's something. The experience of it takes you away so much that your instinct is to fight it. You know what I mean?
But I think I would be that way with shrooms too.
When you fight it, and when you try to control it and try to makes
it worse.
You're in your mind, you're like, oh, stop! I want this to stop. It makes it worse. You have to let go. And I'm one of those people that actually am a control freak in certain aspects of my life that I notice. I'm like, oh shit, I'm like little things like, last night, my friend wanted to go to L.A. to go see the ska band in one of the parks in downtown L.A.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, we're going to take the bus. I'm like, no, I'll drive.
Yeah.
Because I want to be in control. I don't like being...
No.
So there's like little things I notice about me being a little wanting to be in control.
But I'm not a control freak at all.
But this leaks into stuff like that. If you do an experience like that, something like shrooms is very light depending on your dose.
Yes.
But if you do something like ayahuasca,
That's what I was gonna say.
and you're a person that tends to fight against things like this, like I am, I can't take high doses of psychedelics because I fight it.
I'm just afraid of even doing shrooms that I'd be like, okay, I want this to stop. And
why
it
do
won't
you
stop.
have to go to such an extreme?
I don't know.
With shrooms, or I don't know anything about ayahuasca. I was scared. I've never done anything. And I did a chocolate bar one day, and I just took a little tiny square, and I laughed my ass off.
Okay, well, I took an edible once, and it was fucking the worst thing
but
I've ever
that's
done in my fucking life.
Also this.
Tammy said she ate the chocolate bar, and she's like, And then next thing you know, she was calling 911, and you just gotta
I'm
write
telling
that
you.
shit out.
No,
I had to
yeah.
write it. I was fucking sick, and the
But-
room was spinning.
No,
But this
I was
is-
like,
but this
oh
is
my
the-
God,
this
I
is-
don't want that. I
this
want it
is
to
the
stop,
thing.
and that's probably where it's coming from because I couldn't stop it, and I don't like that. I
Yeah.
want to be able to be
Yeah.
like. That's why I mean I can drink, and I know when to stop. Like if I'm taking something that I don't have control of
You
what it's
do
gonna do,
You
I
do
don't
have
know.
control
Yeah.
over though. I've never taken an extreme amount.
She's right, and you're right. Sorry, you're right.
And I've never taken an extreme amount to where, so I can't speak for that. But I've done it many times, and just
You know your limits now.
just enough to get the giggles.
Yeah,
And you can calm yourself down. You know, you can see something, and I.
See, like I've never
You have
really
a
done
strong
shrooms.
mind.
You have
I've
a
done
strong
acid,
mind, right?
and I've done all those things, and like
oh,
you
and
can.
you can.
No, but
okay, that's
but
different.
but look,
Well, that's what I don't know. Shrooms never worked for me, so I never really did
but-
them.
Because
but
your
like-
I don't know.
tolerance is
I-
fucking high. She's like, no,
You know-
I didn't do shrooms. I'm just do acid.
yeah, the
Shoot
fucking
the heroin. Like,
This- the-
whoa.
No,
yeah.
never that.
acid's way crazier.
Okay,
I mean,
so that's what I'm
okay, so look,
basing it on is that my acid trips that I've done so
So-
many of that you
That's
can't fucking
we-
stop
so
it.
look,
Right.
I'm the same way as you 100% in fact that like I like the control thing.
Right.
So personally, like when I dose LSD or shrooms, I will do it very lightly. I don't go overboard like
Yeah.
these people do. I know my limits because when it gets to that over the hill, I want to control it, and that's when the bad. So I know
I've never
my
had a bad
so I know
trip
so
ever
I
in
know
my
my
life.
limits.
I've never had a
but
bad trip,
so I know my
but
limits.
I'm afraid of having one.
I've
And I'm
never had a
afraid
bad
of.
trip either.
But I was getting to the what she said is with shrooms, you could just eat so little, and you won't even have visuals.
Yeah,
you
no,
won't,
no, not- it's not
all
like
you'll
that at
do
all.
is just feel like
Like a microdosing kinda thing?
Microdose.
Yeah.
Like one time, I microdosed. I was sitting here at the house, and this was a weekend. I wasn't hanging out with anybody. Usually, I do stuff on the weekends. I wasn't. I was just hanging out, and I took a little microdose. And an hour or two goes by, and I decided to walk to 7-Eleven. And I was walking, and things were a little brighter, and
Yeah.
I had this feeling of, if somebody walks out of their house right now, I'm gonna talk to them.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I love everybody
Yeah.
here, and I just felt genuinely happy.
But I feel that way without stuff. So
Of
that's where
course,
Don't do
of
it.
course, you
If you
don't.
don't
And
feel
I was
comfortable.
gonna say this earlier, and I totally forgot, but I'm glad I remembered. It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
right.
You know what I mean? A lot of people like to say these people who like push psychedelics so hard, where it's like, no, you have to do this. It'll change your life. This is the only way. Like, no, psychedelics is not for everybody,
It's not, and I think that's.
But
it's
I
just,
think
and that's
you should try
okay.
it.
That's okay. But,
You know, I'm-
but you got to know the dose. You got to
Yeah.
know.
But seeing that's the thing, I don't know the dose, and
Well,
my thing goes
yours-
back to
Tyler does.
my thing goes back to all the acid that I took and how much like you
Yeah.
can't fucking
Well, you're
control
just-
that shit by any means,
You
and you're just going.
laugh
when
your
did you do
butt
that
off.
in the 80s?
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Different.
Okay. So
The 80s.
Debbie.
things are different now. People
Okay,
have
they're
lab coats
Wait,
and
Yeah.
they're different in the fact that I took a freaking edible and I couldn't.
okay,
Yeah,
but,
but that's
you know what? The
different.
edible I
That's
gave you
different.
was a homemade edible. It wasn't like
So you sabotaged her.
it wasn't dosed properly.
So
You probably got way over.
It's-
I probably
no,
gave you way
don't
too much.
Feel
That's
like
why.
that. The most I've ever felt on a small microdose was, I'll look at the curtains and they'll move just a little bit,
It's
or
like
like
the-
the
like they're
shaggy
breathing.
I
rubs,
can't even
and you'll
smoke
feel
weed
it.
anymore, you guys. Like I took
It's
a hit
not
of weed
that
and
type
I'm
of
But
just
high
like,
though.
But you don't.
It's
But
different.
again, you don't
not that
have
type
to.
of
It's
high.
like
Yeah.
if you feel
I
like
don't
you don't.
have to.
But look, weed is a very small psychedelic. It's a very small form of psychedelic. It is. So the way you feel on weed,
I hate it.
things like being very,
hate it.
very like
I hate
introspective.
smoking weed.
Like
That's
when
why
you
I
smoke
quit
weed,
smoking weed. I hated it.
like say sometimes you smoke weed and you start feeling bad about things like that. Psychedelics do that too. So what psychedelics do is put all the shit that you've been putting off right in your face, and it has you deal with it. That's
Yeah,
where
Haven't
that.
experienced that yet though.
But that's when big doses, and that's ayahuasca.
Right.
So
Right.
like ayahuasca.
So maybe I
usually-
need to do a little bit of shrooms to see if I can handle the ayahuasca situation.
Oh,
you
but you're
can.
jumping from one extreme
No,
to the next.
no, but look, there's some truth to that because you can do that because it's funny about shrooms and ayahuasca. They're actually very similar in molecule terms.
Right.
Opposed to any other psychedelics.
But
They're very
the reason
similar
I quit
to each
smoking
other.
weed, so I mean, I was like the biggest pothead you could ever, like way worse than
Okay,
you.
so you liked weed
But-
before. You
But
can handle,
I
but
got
weed's
to
a
the
psychedelic.
point where I started not liking people on when I started smoking weed. I was like, oh, and I didn't like that. So I stopped smoking weed.
You want to know what was happening? You were getting high and you were like, I think you were overthinking because weed gets you to that point where you start questioning a lot.
I don't know. I smoked it for so many years.
But that's my
just
point.
stopped going with my body. I don't know. It was
Psychedelics make you question things, and that's what weed is. Weed's a psychedelic, and it makes you question things. And people can't look. Some people can't look past that. They
what I heard was
like your situation.
When I smoked the weed, last time I smoked the weed, I took bong loads like I used to take bong loads when I was.
Yeah, but
and they were like, Debbie, like just take a hit of a fucking.
Yeah.
Like you went way overboard, and I was like smoking the way I used to smoke.
It's different.
And it's a totally different. Weed is so different now. It's all fucking chemicals and all kinds of shit. It's not
well, not necessarily.
Yes, it is.
Not necessarily. It depends what company you do your research. You get the good company.
Why are you doing it with a company? That's my whole point. It's
you're doing
with
it with
a company.
You're doing it with a company because they could capitalize and make money on
it. Right.
That's
it's
what's
with
happening.
a company.
And
it's
legal
not like
now.
just fucking homegrown.
Just because it's legal. Just because it's legal doesn't mean there's chemicals. Sure, there's chemicals in some things, but not harmful ones. I'm sure, but I don't know. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
I'm not saying they're
I don't know
harmful. I'm just saying that it's so much more potent than it used
well,
to be. That's what.
Well, this is what I like about nowadays when dispensaries, like weed dispensaries, were like kind of like no taxes. It was like, they can get raided any day. It was people weren't dosing right. I heard a story where this person would take off the sticker of a 1,000 or a 500 milligram brownie and put 1,000 milligrams on, or like just do stupid shit like that. So but now that it's in a company, it's regulated. There's correct doses. Right. There's 10 milligrams. You know what you're getting, just like a shot of whiskey. You know what you're getting.
Just like a shot of whiskey.
No, I'm serious. Like if you take a shot of whiskey, you know you're getting a shot of whiskey.
Yeah.
You don't.
You
one
know
time you
what
get
proof
a
it is,
bathtub shot, and you're like,
well,
oh shit, I'm drunk. You know what you're getting.
Yeah, it's not like moonshine.
Yeah, but that's my point. I like how they're dosing it properly nowadays. Like, and that's where the shrooms are going too. They're making shrooms in chocolate bars, and they're dosing them correctly in these squares, which I like because that's the problem. A lot of people overdose, and that's what gets it demonized.
It forever. Yeah. But my husband and I and his friends did shrooms. Actually, he did it for the first time with me, and I was talking about control, and for whatever reason, it always hits me first.
Okay.
And we decided to carve pumpkins.
Oh my god!
A couple years ago.
Oh my god! I can't even imagine.
It was, and I'm, looking at my pumpkin and I'm carving it, and I'm looking at his friend, and he was like, it looked like he was just daggering the knife in the pumpkin and going crazy.
He's got problems.
And I'm like, oh, he's tripping. Like, he's fucked up.
He's like dealing with something.
Yeah, I was
just carving pumpkins
worried.
here. You like put your hand on his shoulder. You alright?
Yeah, he turned it around and it was a perfect circle, and I go, oh, I'm fucking tripping. Like, it wasn't him at all. But that's
it's
the
like
thing.
Sparks coming up.
Exactly.
Turns around, it's just a smiley face.
Yeah. And so that's the thing. Like, I walked away, went to the bathroom, and I was like, oh, Lacey, you're tripping. You're good. Like, we're having fun. We're carving pumpkins, and he's not tripping. Like, you're thinking he's tripping. So,
but you were able to calm yourself.
Very much so.
Right, yeah, okay. But that's my favorite part about shrooms is those little things where you know that the way you're thinking is so extravagant that it's funny.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll be like, oh my god, is he a killer? No, he's not. And you start laughing.
Exactly. And
you got to know what those thoughts are.
Yeah. This is kind of
like I mean like I said, I've never had a bad trip. It's not like I've known what I'm on, and I know, but just from being clean, not sober, but clean for so long.
It's scary.
It's scary.
Yeah.
Like, it's I mean, that was never one of my problems. It's not it's not like I would ever do Vicodin or fucking
psychedelics aren't
something
usually
like that
something
again,
to abuse. People don't really. I don't really like to class psychedelics as drugs because they're more you use
Well,
them for a
worse
reason.
than, you know.
could use them recreationally, it was just fine. But a lot of the times, people use them for therapeutic reasons, and I really like, it really does help. It feels like, a little reset sometimes, Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's not for everybody.
I don't understand that, but like how it's used, and I know it is used that way, and a lot of people do use it that way. I don't understand how that would work by any means. It doesn't compute in my brain.
For example,
but I know it is used that way. But I just don't see it. Because you're not actually healing anything. You're just.
Well, I think people replace it almost for something else.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of disagree. I think you're maybe not necessarily healing something, but maybe on the pathway to healing it, because it makes you start to realize things, and then it puts you on the right path to heal things. It doesn't heal. It doesn't heal you. It lets you know what to heal, and then you do the work.
But there's a lot of people who think that just doing psychedelics is healing
and they're wrong. That's the misconception. You have to do the work, just like everything, like everything else. If you want to make money and have a good business, it's not going to come to you. You have to do the work. Just like psychedelics, you don't just take a psychedelic and you're magically.
Because I know
that's a misconception.
People that you and I both know that have that same outlook on. Oh my God, the psychedelics are what heals me, and I'm so good. And I look at them and I'm like, no, you haven't fucking changed a bit. You know what I mean?
It's almost like a Band-Aid or something.
Not. I think it's an antibiotic. It's puts you on the path to heal. You have to. It lets you. It's like maybe you're confused and you're like, man, what's going on with my life? You do the psychedelic. Oh, that's what it is. Then after you're like. You do the work to fix it, because now you know what to fix.
Okay, well, that's great, but I wish most people would see it that way instead of just doing a psychedelic is going to heal my life.
Well, you have to do the psychedelic to fucking really.
I haven't heard of that.
I have.
But I've heard that maybe people shouldn't do them when they're in a really good place in life. But I never think.
It depends what you're trying to get out of the trip.
I never think like, oh, I want to do this tonight, and I want to do this and this. Like, if I'm ever thinking of doing shrooms, me personally, I'm like, I just want to laugh and have fun.
Right.
That's fine.
That's just
you want to use it recreationally. That's
and
fine.
Play board games, totally and beer pong, and just laugh. That's it. Not do it again for a couple months, and then do the same thing over again. And that's enough.
Some people like to make it an annual thing, and they do it for therapeutic reasons. Recreation is totally fine. I think, a lot of people also think that it's so sacred you can't use it recreationally, but I think that's silly too.
Yeah, and Ryan, I remember you telling me, I was like, oh, hey, Ty, like, I want to do it and play games, and Tyler's like, well, I just want to watch movies, and I'm like, I can't
just watch
do
The Simpsons
that,
or something.
I'm like, I can't be stagnant, and
the reason I
but
like
that's
it,
me, and Ryan is like, no, babe, I want to look at the stars and the moon. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to freaking play a game or do something. Like, I have to be active.
Isn't that funny? Everybody wants to do something.
Yeah.
Like, everyone pictures, like, what their thing is. Like, when I do that, I'm going to look at the stars. Or some people are like, well, when I do that, I want to fucking play a board game.
Exactly.
When I do that, I want to watch The Simpsons.
Yeah, we went out for my birthday, and I got mad at him, and I was like, well, I'm going to go read my book in the other room. We had an Airbnb in Joshua Tree. And I didn't know, but I guess he had my husband. And he had finished the whole chocolate bar. And maybe about like 30 minutes later, he came in the room and he's like, hey, do you want a burger? And I was like,
is this the edible?
It's like, shroom chocolate bar.
Okay, okay, I didn't know if it was weed or.
Yeah, so he had
don't do the weed chocolate
finished the shroom chocolate. No, I don't.
Nah.
Yeah. So he finished the shroom chocolate bar, and he asked me if I wanted a burger, but I didn't know. I want to say it took him 2 hours to make me a burger, and finally he came in, and he goes, I forgot how to cook. And then he came clean, and he's like, I didn't know what the heck I was doing.
He probably had all the ingredients laid out, and he's like,
and he's a good cook.
And it's so funny because
that's the part I love about mushrooms is like you could be like, what the fuck am I doing?
It comes time comes in and out. Like you'll be tripping out on something for like I don't know how long, and then you come to and you're like, whoa, that was weird. It's just, and maybe that's how he was feeling, and he was like, "Babe, I forgot how to cook," and I'm like, "Yeah, 2 hours later, I get a hamburger."
Yeah, you're like, what happened in there?
Yeah.
He's like, so much happened.
It's all
You have
smoking
no
and
idea.
shit.
Yeah, you have
Like,
no idea what's going on in the kitchen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah, like there could be nothing going on in the kitchen. Like it's crazy in the kitchen.
Yeah.
That's the part I love about
It's so
doing a
fun.
little bit of mushroom. You don't have to be crazy, but when it gets to that little silliness, that's my favorite part.
I like silliness. That's why I like to drink. I like to laugh and I like to have fun and I like the giggles. Yeah.
Like there's
Yes, but shrooms just is different.
There's this
you
one time,
laugh so hard, you're like,
yeah,
you know,
your
it's
stomach
just different.
hurts.
Yeah.
One time, me and Dylan,
Yeah.
we did a couple mushrooms here, and we watched. You ever heard of Trailer Park Boys? That show.
Yeah.
So we were watching that all through the night. Sun coming up. We were like, let's go smoke a cigarette outside. So we go outside, and the walk to the trash can, we see tons of squirrels, and I'm just like telling them.
Really though? Like
Yeah, really.
okay.
Yeah, real squirrels.
there's
There's a lot of squirrels living in the apartment.
They live in the apartment?
They
have
live
their own
in the
apartment?
complex
These
around
squirrels
here.
have their own apartment.
Yeah, yeah, they do. See them in the tree.
They're-
But so we're kind of like talking about like, yeah, there's a lot of squirrels here. Yeah, and we're sitting there smoking a cigarette, and then we just like kind of looked at each other, and we just laughed so hard that the fact that there's so many squirrels here, like it was just something so silly.
You
Yeah.
didn't
And
even have
something
to
so
tell
simple.
each other that, huh?
We just
you just knew.
We just at the same time looked up at each other, locked eyes, and just started busting up laughing.
Yeah.
So that's like this little silly stuff.
yeah.
I like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
You don't have to
laugh
be.
hard at the dumbest shit. And,
Yeah.
and what I love is that Ryan gets me.
Right.
And
right.
like alcohol, not too much, but when we're on shrooms, he's like, I get it, babe. Like, I already know what you're gonna say. Like, let's
Right.
go outside or let's
Right.
go. He just knows.
I think it because
That's
it makes
good.
you in tune with like I'll be at a rave, and I'll maybe take some LSD or something.
See, I'd much rather you do mushrooms than LSD. Just as my personal.
What's that?
Acid.
Oh, I want to do acid. I'm just scared.
I prefer it.
I know. I know you do, but it's for your body. I think shrooms are so much more natural that all the stuff that
I
you've
get
gone
it.
through.
No one has
I
ever
don't-
died from LSD.
I will.
No, but
I
he
will
has
say. I
all
will
these
say.
medical
Yeah.
I will
issues
say
that-
LSD puts me in like if I take a little too. We were talking earlier about bad trips. Oh. Yeah. My only bad trip, you were a part of it.
I was a part of it.
You were there.
I was
Remember?
there?
Remember, I called you just crying.
yeah.
crying. So I misdosed something, so I ended up taking about like
Too much.
5. It could be anywhere from 5 to 10 hits of LSD. So
Okay, wait a minute.
Way too much.
How much? How
too
many tabs is that?
they weren't in tabs. I had liquid. I had it in liquid form.
Yeah. He
Allegedly.
took way too much.
Allegedly.
And you just
So what happens if you once the like how turkey basters are?
yeah.
It's like a little vial. It's full of liquid. It has a little turkey baster. Anyway, once it's empty, you throw it in a water bottle and drink it. So
Okay.
all the remnants.
Really?
All on the side of the bottle in the turkey base. So it could have been anywhere from.
You don't know.
I just misdosed. Anyway, I remember calling my mom and I was just crying and crying and crying, and yeah, you helped me through it a lot. But
And
that's
did
the
you
only
know?
time I had
Or
bad trips.
Did you
But
realize
I guess I'm
like-
bringing this up because like she's saying she'd rather me
Yeah.
do shrooms or something.
Well, you know,
but-
it's
I
funny.
think
Because
it's
it's like
more
stuff
natural
like
for
that.
your body too.
but misdosing is
And
easy with
Misdosing
acid,
is
too.
easy, and also for your body, for what your body has been through, and it kind of scares me with what can go into your body or what could be in that
It's
is a lot different.
I
And
get it.
and
I get it, but
freaks
it's
me out a
still
little
bit.
it's
Yeah,
still a
but
psychedelic and
yeah.
it's harmless essentially.
but
And-
in a liquid form of something like that, it can be something else, and that scares me as well.
I'm confident.
Yeah.
I know, but you were confident before. It's just as a mom
Yeah.
and seeing you almost die, it's
I get
freak
it.
out for me. I
Well-
do shrooms. Don't do the other shit.
Okay,
Well,
Mom.
my mom. If
All
we're
right,
speaking,
Mom.
we're speaking about mom.
Fuck, man.
I was having a conversation with my mom, and she goes, "By the way, I just took a hit of acid the other night," and I was like, "Wait a minute, what?" And she said, her and her man and her two friends did it, and of course I was like, what happened? Like, I want to know all the details. And she's like, well, everyone took a full tab but me. I took a half tab. And she, I'm like, oh, you know all about this. Like, this is what you used to do, you know?
Oh,
In
And
the
yeah.
80s, it
And
was
she
like
remembers-
Yeah,
like,
what's your
when I grew up-
generation?
yeah,
What-
she's
what,
in my
what are they
generation.
called? What are they called? Gen X? What are you guys called?
Yeah, I think we're Gen X.
Gen X?
she
Yeah.
she would always talk
Gen
about,
Xers,
like,
they
how...
all know about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
how
100%.
Led Zeppelin.
her and Uncle Ricky, your dad, would see the goldfish, and he'd see all their faces
Oh, I
on the
remember that
goldfish
story.
and
Yeah.
stuff. But I was like, Mom, how'd you feel? And she's like, well,
That's all right.
she's like, I just couldn't look at George because we just kept laughing at each other. And she goes, and then she said he looked really skinny, and that she had to take him home, and that she was driving on the streets, and the streets were going up and down.
Yeah, acid
and
is like, it's
a
remember
commitment. Tyler was like, Lacey, it's a commitment.
Yeah, and it's
But
hours.
I
It's
want
hours
to.
and hours
I
and
want
hours.
to.
It's literally half the time
Yeah.
that mushrooms are.
But I don't. How can you guesstimate a time of mushrooms? Because I feel like it hits me and gets out of my system faster than everybody else.
There's many factors, just like anything that you put in your body. Like if you've eaten that day, and maybe if you haven't, it
Yeah.
might hit you faster. There's
Okay,
a lot
but
of.
Can you microdose acid?
Mm-hmm.
So if you microdose, does it last as long?
It's a much more
I
intense
wouldn't
trip, just
suggest
so you know.
microdosing
Why?
acid. When I hear people talk about microdosing acid,
My mom
I don't
said-
understand that
Why?
because it's such a small.
Thing anyway.
It's like if you were to microdose, I don't get it. I know.
Just go big or home?
I know.
Go
I've
big,
done
go home?
enough. I've done enough of both of them to where microdosing acid doesn't make sense to me.
But is it like a less intense trip?
It's because it's a big commitment. Because it's like I just
You're
don't.
in. When
What
you take
what
acid, you're
what the
in.
hell is the?
well, I want a trip for like 4 hours.
It's
No,
longer
but
than
that's
that.
why mushrooms make sense for microdosing, and because that one story I said where I took a little mushrooms, just the way it makes you feel.
Yeah.
Acid's not like that.
It's not like that at all.
Acid's not like that. Acid
Mm-mm.
might make you feel open and connected, but it's very introspective and
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
very hardcore
It's
to where it's
very-
like reality. What the fuck is reality?
Oh.
But shrooms are like loving
can
and
intro-
like okay, it melts away your.
It's funny though
Yeah,
because
it's a
every
yeah.
person I've asked will say that, and they'll be like, "Oh, I prefer acid to shrooms." I'm like, "Wait a minute, like, how?"
Yeah, I do, but for certain reasons, you
Yeah.
know, like sometimes I like getting smacked in the face, you know,
I'm scared,
because
but I want to do
when
it.
I do the next day, it feels like refreshing. It feels like.
But you're weird that way. See, I never
But
did
that's
it.
with a
I
lot
never
of
did it
people.
like
That's with a
that.
lot
I
of
did it
people.
just because, like, okay, in the 80s, that was what
Or
Well,
we did.
my
recreational.
mom just said
Right.
that was funny. You just
Yeah,
did it
no,
to trip
like-
out and laugh.
We did it to
Party.
trip out and laugh and
Yeah.
party.
but
It's a fucking commitment. Like,
No,
it's. I remember, like, the first time I did acid, I was laying. Me and Bridget did it. I don't know if you guys remember
Of
Bridget.
course.
Okay, so we're in my house.
Actually, I groom her son's dogs.
So
I remember
we're in
Bridget.
we're in the
Shout
fucking
out to
in my
Bridget.
dad's house. We're I think we're fucking 13. I don't even know. So young, right? And all of a sudden, I'm laying on the couch with my dad, and she's like there, and and the people on the fucking TV started turning green and doing all this weird shit, and I'm like laughing, right? And I'm like, Bridget, we have to go to bed. My dad-
You can't sleep though.
no,
Oh,
no,
no,
no, no,
no,
no.
no.
But it was like we had to go to bed, and it was like just weird shit. Like, and then we were laughing all night. And he was pissed. Whatever. But and then like one night we were doing it, and we like went on. You just go on these walks, and you go on these tangents, and everything is funny, and everything is like. I used to do it and go dancing all the
everything's
time.
dramatic.
Everything's so dramatic. We used to go dancing all the time, and we would hitchhike because back in the 80s, hitchhiking was a thing, right? So.
I have to
So-
go pee.
Yeah, go.
Sorry.
So we're sitting there and we're hitchhiking, and these people pick us up. It's this old fucking couple, right? And they're in this old car, And we look up, and there's like these
This is
notches.
around the times where, you don't have to be worried about, oh, it's a nice hotel, you get picked up.
Yeah, we were hitchhiking. It wasn't a
Nowadays,
thing.
Nowadays,
Yeah.
just call an Uber.
They didn't have them back then.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, go ahead.
And we're sitting there, and we're like, me and my friend Linda, and we're sitting there, and we're like hitchhiking to a fucking party or whatever we were doing, and we're sitting there, and there's this old couple. I'm sure they were like super nice, right? And we get in the back of the car, and we like it's an old car, and we see these like notches on the fucking, and we're like, oh my god, this is how many people they've killed.
Oh my
Like-
god. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I love. It's like,
it's like
when things get so dramatic, it's so funny.
dramatic. And it was like, oh my god. And then so we get home to her house in the morning, and it's like we're laying at the pool, and her mom was a single mom, and we like go in, and her mom starts fucking freaking out, and we're like, okay, fuck it, we're just gonna go. It's pouring rain, and we just go lay by the pool with our fucking towels over us in the pouring rain until the fucking morning. It's like, you don't care. It's just so
You don't care.
different.
Oh.
You don't care. Like,
You-
you just don't care.
you d-
And all those people, like, we're like, okay, but we're still staying in this car with the people who have notches on their fucking,
Yeah,
like, you know what I
don't
mean? Like,
care.
how many people
this
did they
re-
kill? I don't know. How many people did they kill? But we're
Yeah.
still staying in the fucking
Yeah,
car.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I remember this. That reminds me of a story I had with Mo. One time we were in the back seat.
Uh-huh.
AJ was driving. Me and Mo were in the back seat, just crying. And
In the backseat of a car.
in the backseat of a car, AJ was driving. And me and Mo were like tripping in the backseat, and the rave was over. She was like going to her house to get things. We were doing
Right.
a couple things before we went back to the last spot. And me and Mo were in the backseat. We were laying there, and I go, Mo, where are we going? And he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know either, and I don't even care.
I did
It
that
just
going
makes-
to
it
Arizona
makes you
one
not
time.
care.
Yeah, I did that going to Arizona one time. We were on the back of a truck, and we're going, and all I remember is seeing like fucking mountains, and just like, whoa, what
But
the fuck?
you're
And all of a sudden, we were in Arizona, and I was fucking filthy, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what the fuck
You're-
happened?
the essence of time is just gone. You don't
Yeah.
really know time when you're doing that.
But I think my thing is, from
I
what
mean, at
I've
least
been
I
through,
don't.
from what I've been
You-
through,
know?
and my
But-
things, I get that way naturally now. So
And that's wonderful.
So-
I really think that's good too, and I really think people should know that.
But
That-
it's really true.
It
And so
is.
that's where I'm like, I really get this way naturally from my practices and what I do or whatever. But so it's kind of like
You've had your experience in
I've
the
had
past.
my experiences with this stuff when I was
Yeah.
young. You know what I mean?
So you
and
could
like,
speak on it.
and it's like, do I really want to do it again? Like, I
You
don't
don't
know.
need to.
I don't need to.
You don't need to. If
I
you
don't
feel like you
really-
don't need to, you don't need to. It's like forget about the pressure of everybody saying
Yeah.
like you need to try this because of this. It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
And if you can sit there and say and have experience getting there without it, I mean
get there
that
without it.
speaks
I have,
loudly, and I
like,
think people should know
the
that
more
too.
magical experiences I have had that are like fucking life-changing, amazing experiences, I've had totally sober and totally
Yeah.
clean,
100%.
and they're natural experiences.
Mhm.
So,
You just don't laugh as hard.
oh, I do, but I do, I
I'm
do.
kidding, I'm kidding.
And-
Yeah.
I mean, so, yeah, I don't
No,
know.
I really think that's important
Well,
too,
yeah.
because a lot of people helps a lot of psychedelics help a lot of people, but it's not for everybody, like I was saying, and getting help and improving yourself sober, I think that speaks a lot of strength.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just don't feel a need to
Well,
do
then
it.
you can sit back,
Yeah.
Then don't worry about it. Don't
bring
do
the
it.
charcuterie board, and watch us.
I've watched you guys before. No, I've watched you guys
play
before. It's not
No.
like I've,
Play-
you know.
Play Clue.
Well,
and-
you were gonna play Clue.
I've been with you guys when you guys are doing it, and you guys are cracking up, and I'm cracking up right along with you, but I'm not.
No, I've
like,
never streamed a time. I'm ready.
Not with you,
and
no,
Madison.
not you two. You've seen with Madison and
Mm-mm.
Allegedly.
No.
yes.
No, it didn't hit her like it hit me on
Oh,
Thanksgiving.
okay.
These
no,
are
I
all
wasn't even
family
talking about
members.
Thanksgiving. I was
Yes.
talking about another time, but yeah, never mind.
Yeah, that time too, it didn't hit her.
It didn't. Okay.
No.
So remember we were talking earlier about the like dressing up and solving mysteries, like this
Yes,
Clue thing.
yes.
I want to do that.
I heard about this thing.
We need to have a murder mystery party at your house, Lacey.
I heard about this thing. I don't know where it was. I think you told me you were like gonna. I don't know if it was you. You go, you dress up, and you go, and like maybe it's like a ball or like something's going on. There's people dressed up, and they're all actors, and they all. It's like 1920s or something, whatever the scene is, and then you go in there dressed up as well. And you just watch people and like you kind of solve the mystery as you watch what's going on happen. There's like full of actors.
Like a bar?
I don't know if it's a bar, but I think I've told you about it. Do you remember?
I don't
like
remember
a
anything
theater,
about this.
maybe?
There's something that they do. I'm not entirely sure. I have to look it up. But you go and you dress up. Like whatever the theme is, like let's just say it's
like back in the day when we would go to watch.
So everyone will have like
the
accents.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
But you know what's that show you just showed me? When they're with the Westworld.
Westworld, yeah.
Okay, Westworld.
Fucking good show.
So, real quick, tell the listeners what Westworld is about.
Oh, I
just
don't
a
even know.
quick summary. So it's let me say. So basically, it's like almost like a simulation type of deal.
Yeah, but I don't want to. You can't tell that because if
Okay,
nobody's seen
I don't
want to
ruin
it.
Anyway, the concept of Westworld is like what I was saying. It has the same kind of.
So you kind of sit back and watch what's going on, and then kind of evaluate at the end, like what happened.
That doesn't sound very fun.
Wait, well,
no, it does. I would love to do that.
No,
I would
you
really bring out my detective skills.
I don't think you interact too.
Yeah,
you interact. You don't just sit back
wanna,
and watch. I think you can go up and talk to them, and they'll be like, well, they'll have accent, and they'll interact with you, and maybe if you say something or. Maybe if you read something and solve a clue, they'll have a different reaction to it.
That's kind of like what I was telling you at that party I went to for
let me see if I can look it up.
New Year's. We all had our own characters, and we had a script that we had to stick to.
Right.
And we were only allowed to say
certain
what was in that script. Like, I don't remember. This was a couple years ago, but we had to stick to the script. And at the end, once you mingled amongst everybody. They were like, "Oh, it was so and so," and
see, I would love to have parties like this. Like these are things.
It doesn't even have to be a party. It could just be amongst a couple people, and
So, you were telling me somewhere doing it at the house.
I did that at a house for New Year's, but we just so happened to all dressed up.
How many people do you need for that?
See,
it depends on what kind of murder mystery it is. You print out
depends
each.
Who gets murdered?
Yeah, it depends how many people are involved.
Can it be a two-person game because it's 50-50?
Yeah, exactly. And then at the end, you play.
But yeah, it's kind of the same concept that you were explaining about, but you did it at the house. But this goes on at like someone does it. I don't know. I probably might be talking out of my ass, but
You just copied me, Tyler.
No, I swear. I swear I heard this or read this somewhere that they were doing it somewhere in L.A. too.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
Because they do those for Halloween where they're all on a bus and you have to, I guess, get through each obstacle. And
it's like escape room times 10.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do the escape rooms?
I never have.
You never have?
Never have.
Really?
I want to.
They make you feel real dumb.
Yeah.
You have to go, like, if you go in with just, like, you and someone else, you guys are probably not going to solve nothing. But, like, if you go in with, like, a group, like, a nice group, like, it helps. It helps.
Spews everything.
Because you could spread out and look in different types of the room, and, like, half of the shit that gets solved, I would have never solved. But then there's, like, a couple things that I find that no one else, it's like, the more minds you have with it, like, the easier it is, obviously. But I feel like if you go in there with just you or two
I know,
people, you'd be like, oh, we're not going to solve it.
Ryan knows that I'm constantly listening to Dateline and Murder Mystery podcasts, and just I plug my earphones in at work, and I just
why do you like it?
I love it. I don't know why.
There's a really popular statistic that a lot of women like those murder.
I know, but it makes me extremely vigilant, which is kind of scary. But it comes out and like we'll watch like movies, and Ryan will be like, "Well, come on, babe. You said you want to be a detective. Like, what's going on in the movie?"
There's
like what room was it?
I think there's a primal reason that women like it. Way back then, when hunter-gatherers, women would be very like social in the tribe and like kind of look around
Yeah.
to see what's going on, what's wrong. So murder mysteries are more, or like
Yeah.
who's the murderer in our tribe? We gotta weed them out. We gotta solve this. So women are kind of more in tune to that,
Yeah, absolutely.
figuring that out, and I think that's what drives like why women like those.
Yeah, it's
Because it's just primal, I think.
right.
You know?
I love
That
it
was their role in the hunter-gatherer.
because it's intriguing, but also like on the negative side, like I'm scared to go to the grocery stores or like it
Yeah,
just
you wanna
makes
be
me
aware.
so but
Yeah.
almost too hyper vigilant
Yeah,
to
you don't
where
wanna
I'm like
scare
looking
yourself.
around and
You're watching too much of it, you're like,
yeah, and you start processing things
Yeah.
and it's scary.
they're gonna repel in my window.
Yeah, and Ryan's like, oh, just go out, go by yourself, go for a walk, and I'm like, absolutely not. I'm scared.
You want me to go and get milk?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'm gonna get
You know what-
murdered.
You know what happens when people get milk?
Yeah.
Yeah, nowadays especially, like, we were just talking about, like, just back then it was just easy to just go out and do whatever. And
I was hitchhiking all the time. It was just like a thing. Nobody
Mhm.
thought about it.
Mhm.
Like in the 70s and the 80s,
Yeah.
like that was. Now you never see anybody
I
hitchhike.
forget you were alive in the 70s. That's when the most. That's where the most serial killers were in the 70s.
Right?
Right.
And we just hitchhiked like it was nothing.
Yeah.
isn't that weird?
Motherfuckers
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah, it was more like hitchhike. It was more accepted, but
Yeah.
there
way
was
more
more.
accepted,
But there was more.
crazy
But-
people.
It's
Well,
only in
I think there's
They were
always
all on it.
there's always crazy
yeah
people.
in the U.S. so it's illegal. But we went to the Bahamas.
To be a serial killer? Yeah,
no,
I
no,
hope
no,
so.
to hitchhike. To hitchhike.
Just kidding.
We went to the Bahamas.
Yeah, it is.
And it's
They want to tax you on it.
yeah,
when you
and
hitchhike.
we went to the Exumas. It's a small island, and
What is it?
the Exumas in the Bahamas. Oops. And we-
Exumas.
And it's this one of the islands in the Bahamas.
Okay.
Ryan and I went for my birthday, and it's so small you kind of see the same people all the time.
Mhm.
And we had saw this guy, and a couple days later, it's all like,
Mhm.
we were driving on the same side, and he had, when we had passed him, he had, put his thumbs up, and I was like, fuck, like, I feel like we have to now,
Because
and
it's such a small community.
yeah,
And you've seen
and
him so many times.
Yeah.
right, and people
It's like
do
what
it.
they do there.
And
Yeah.
everyone honks to each other there too, and I'm
They
like,
wave.
damn, here,
How you doing?
exactly, me, like everyone has their own little honk tune, and here you're
Oh.
like, people get freaking
Shot.
shot
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you honk at them, and so we picked him up, and he was like, oh, my ankle hurts, like I can't walk, and Ryan's like, oh, no problem, like he got in the car, and we drove him a couple blocks down, and he got out, and I was a little bit scared, but
Mhm.
it was fine.
But it's like, people need to. I know it's so dangerous, but like we need to get back to being humans and helping each
Yeah.
other. But it's so sketchy nowadays.
I know, and I ended up finding $5 at the beach.
That was the highlight.
I was like, Ryan, I won this
We
found
helped
this
this guy, but
$5
I got $5
because I found this $5.
It's not $5.
Yeah, since we helped the
Bahamian money.
since we helped this person, the universe granted me $5.
Exactly. Well, hey,
That's true, though.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's so many, like, even especially in those, like,
Try to talk
You
to the
think- you think you go and, like, so you're having dinner with all these people you don't know, and you're having, so what's the difference of, like, picking them up and taking them
Yeah.
2 blocks? You know what I mean? Like, especially if you're seeing them all the time, and you're like, but then there's also the other places where you think you're safe because you've been seeing them all the time, and that's when they're like,
Exactly.
you know what I mean? Like,
Gotcha now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
no,
just like,
true.
you
just-
never know.
You never.
you never know.
No, never know.
Like, I know, like, when I was younger too, like,
But that
I would
sucks.
help people who were like stranded on the side of the road, and like Danny used to get mad at me. He's like, Debbie, stop doing that. I'm like, well, it was
Danny is
my husband who passed.
Yeah.
So he
listener.
would be like,
we'll just say names, and listeners are like, "Who are these people?"
Yeah.
okay, but he would
Yeah.
be like, stop doing that. I'm like, well, it
Yeah.
was a lady and her son. She's like, he's like, but you don't know that. You don't know that there's some guy like hiding behind the, he's like,
Yeah.
you're alone. Like, you don't do that. And I'm like, but it's part of, like, human nature. Like
Yeah.
you're saying, like,
No.
you know, you see people trying to, like, help them.
Yeah.
And that's where some of the crazy people get you.
Yeah. I heard a story on
But I don't want to be the person who doesn't help,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I heard a story on Rogan's podcast. I forget who said this story, but they were talking about their parents, how on a Thanksgiving, you know, the dad of the family went out, like, you know, got some groceries or something. Anyway, brought back two young black gentlemen from out in the street.
Uh-huh.
And then the wife was like, "What are you doing? You bring strangers." And he's like, "I thought this is what we're supposed to be. Like, we're humans. We're supposed to, like, help each other. Like, you know what I mean?"
For Thanksgiving.
And, like, hearing this story, like, the person that says, like, I wanted to cry because it's like, that's what we're supposed to. But it's like, it's so hard to, like.
Because you're scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I don't want to be
sucks.
scared.
Yeah. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't want to be scared. But then there's other people. It's so weird because, like, there's certain people you see that you look and you're like, ooh. And those are probably the ones that are the most loving and most giving and most generous. And then there's the people that you're like, oh, that person's okay.
Yeah.
And they're probably the ones that are the fucking crazy ones. You know?
Yeah, I tend to see, like, it tends to be what
The
you think
outer
that the
appearance.
people that are, like, seem to be the most happiest,
Yep.
are, like, behind closed doors are not.
Exactly. That's all those people that are flossing on Instagram. Oh, I'm so happy, or I got all this money. It's like, no, you're probably super depressed and poor.
Dealing with the insecurities by doing that.
Exactly, and flossing it on Instagram and social media, and really that's not the case.
And not only doing that and not doing good for them, but also when other people see this, they get affected by, like, thinking they have to be this extravagant person when they're not even, the people that they're looking at aren't even that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And I'm guilty of that.
It's just like an infection.
You know what I heard one time? It was with Kim Kardashian, actually, though. And Kim. But it really made sense to me. She got a lot of fucking flack for it, and she got, like, so
Get
much
off your fucking
shit
ass
for
and
it.
work.
Yes.
Oh, that one video.
Yes. I think
funny.
it's fucking true, though. You know what I mean? Like, all these people are out there, and she's like, you know, I work fucking hard for this. And most of these people think, and it's true, like what you were saying. They think it's so easy because these people are out there doing it, and they're making money, but they're fake as fuck. Most of them.
I don't think people are basing it off of the work she's doing. It's a persona of how she looks.
This speaks to what we were talking about earlier,
Right.
where a lot of people think nowadays you don't have to do the work. It's just going to come to you.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just going to come to you because you post a couple things, and now you're going to be an instant millionaire, and you're going to be Instagram famous.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that.
It takes fucking work. Like, you can be Instagram famous, and you can do those things, but you still got to do the work.
And having a platform makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But it's hard to get that. You got to work to
you
get
gotta work
that.
to get that, you know? Yeah. And it's,
but
even like my son, like even like Hunter or whatever, it's like, he sees it's going to be so easy. I'm going to do this and this and this, and I'm going to be like, no, it doesn't work that way.
Sometimes it does. Sometimes it does.
But you still got to put in work.
Right.
But you have to let them know that,
you can be an Instagram famous.
You could hit the lottery. You can hit the lottery, and sometimes it might work like that. But you have to also let them know.
Instagram famous. That's not what I'm saying.
No, that's not my point. I was saying, like, it could happen, but you also have to let them know. You have to always put in the work.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Everybody wants to be famous, but don't nobody want to put in the work.
Exactly.
Right.
Who said that?
Right.
I think Kevin Hart.
But it's true, you know? It's really true.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, and I'm never one to stop people or my kids, especially from being who they want to be and doing what they want to do. Like, I don't care what the fuck you do. I really don't. I'm not one of those moms who, like, you have to go to college and you have to finish college and you have to blah, 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 blah. You know, I have one daughter who that's her dream and that's what she wants to do. I have one who wants to be a podcaster I think that's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And I have another one who knows what he wants to be a pilot or whatever he wants to do. I don't know. I just want you, I want you to be happy.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that you're doing, just if you're happy and it lights up your soul, go for it.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're rich. I don't care. I want you to do what lights up your heart.
Yeah.
And if it's not lighting up your heart, then you need to make a change.
Yeah. A lot of people try to hold back their kids, you know.
Yeah.
And it makes them rebel in negative ways.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what people should realize. You know, that's what happened to me. You know, my dad's like, you can't dye your hair purple.
And I was like, dye it purple, honey.
Did he really?
No, my dad.
Really?
Oh my God, my dad was like, you better not.
And I was like, don't go for it.
And
I'm the one, go for it, honey.
And I did it anyway, and he's like, it's so funny. Like my dad would always like, I would always be scared of his like,
Yeah.
not threat, but like, you better not. I'd be like, but when I do it, nothing happens.
Yeah.
I'm like, well,
it's funny
now
because
I
when
got
we went out a couple nights ago at the bar, he was like, yeah, fucking Tyler used to go all these punk shows, and next thing you know, I'm just taking shots, like, looking at all these people, like, what the fuck are you doing? But here I am taking all these shots.
yeah, he took me to a punk show many years ago. I forget what year it was, but we went to a place called the Key Club in Hollywood, and he drove. Remember my old friend Mandy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
She was a really old friend of mine from middle school. My dad took me and her out to Hollywood where we met a bunch of our friends, you know. But he went up to the top floor of the place,
Right.
and he was just drinking, you know. We actually brought this up recently, and he told me, he's like, remember that night? He's like,
we're
he
at
was
the
like,
wake party.
he was like, you were so mad at me after the show. He's like, I was so drunk that you were yelling at me. He's like, I guess I don't remember, but I was like, I'm not driving back with you. He was like drunk as shit, you know. And then he was like, I was driving home, and I was like, God damn it, Tyler's mad at me driving. It was funny. I was like, I don't remember that, but yeah, he took us out to a punk show one time. It was funny. Yeah.
That's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Taking all these shots.
He's funny. He's funny.
Yeah.
Kids and their parents, I tell ya.
You guys want another drink?
That was like, too, like, I remember when you were younger and, like, even now, like, it's,
I'm okay.
can I cut my hair this way? I'm like, you can do whatever you want. Rachel used to get so mad at me because when Hunter was little, he would, like, wear rainbows and colors and whatever the fuck he wanted, right? Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and he'd have, like, these funky socks, and he was just being him. Yeah, Rachel would be like, he has to match, Mom. He has to match.
I know. That's
And
how
I'm
I
like-
am too.
And I'm like, no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. He's being him, and let him be him. He'll grow out of it. He'll get to high school, and he'll want to fit in, and he'll want to do all those things. Don't worry about it, Rachel. Don't worry about it. She's like, no, he has to match. I'm going to figure out his outfits. And I'm like, he's not going to just let him be him. You know? And now he's like, I have to have the blah, 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 and I have to have that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and she's like, okay, you look cute.
Yeah.
I'm like, I told you, just
care less and less.
who cares?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, especially when they're little, like, who cares?
Mm-hmm.
Who cares? They're going to figure it out. They're trying to figure it out. Let them figure out what it is that they want to do and what they want to be, you know?
Yeah.
I hope I'm the kind of mom who it doesn't backfire on.
How old is Hunter?
He's 15.
Oh, he's so young.
He's so young. Yeah, he's so young. Yeah. But he's so tall and he's so smart and he's so
Exactly.
yeah. You would never think
forget.
he's 15.
Yeah.
Like, we were talking about like him doing drugs or whatever in school and like going to parties and friends and things like that. And the thing he says to me is like, Mom, do you really think that I don't have what did he say to me? Do you really think that I'm dumb enough to let people talk me into something that I know is wrong? And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, what else do you say?
Like, okay. Like, but it's not like he said it that. It was just the way he thinks. And he's like, I know how to handle myself. Like, I know what's, yeah.
Hunter?
Yeah. He was like, do you really think I'm dumb enough to let people talk me into doing something I know is wrong?
Deep.
Right? He gets fucking deep like that, and it's so. But I still have to be a mom and be like, okay, but no, you know. But it's hard sometimes because he's so logical.
She'll text me. She's like, he went skateboarding.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
so
this
scared.
just happened.
Oh, really?
No, listen to this. Go ahead.
So
tell
she
her.
texts me. She's like, and this like falls on like mother's intuition stuff.
Yes.
So she
A woman's intuition.
Yeah. she texts me and she's like, he went skateboarding and I don't like it. And I'm like, well, what's so bad? Like, what do you worry about? Him falling or what? She's like, getting hit by a car. And I'm like,
what?
I'm like, gee.
Well, because, okay, this is a little backstory.
But
he's never been able to balance because of this part of his autism. He was a toe walker, right? So he's never like really been able to balance. He's finally learning how to balance. He's learning how to like ride he could never ride a skateboard.
So it's tricky.
So it's a little tricky.
So, but the funny thing is, like,
so we're
5 minutes later, she texts me. She goes, "It happened. He ended up falling, but it was like not hit by a car.
Not hit by a car, but he
like, fell. But it, like, you know,
that's
he comes
all
in.
part of it.
He comes in. He's fucking bloody, and he's looking
really?
like yes.
But I was like, you know, that's happened to me. You know, like I've skateboarded. I sprained my ankle, and you took me to I had crutches at school, and I told him I was
more
like,
because of the
you're
balance
a mom.
thing. Well, no, it's a lot more the
just
balance
face
thing
it, you're
too.
a mom.
Why was he bloody?
Because he fucking ate shit.
He was going down a hill. He was shredding the nar.
Doesn't even know how to skateboard.
He was shredding the nar, and you know, like when you're going real fast and it starts going woo, 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 woo,
yeah,
and it, you know,
and he
gets
jumped off,
wobbly
and he fucking rolled, and he fucking eats blood everything. Oh my god!
Was he crying?
I was like, yeah, that
He
was
was
punk
crying.
rock. I was like, fuck yeah, dude.
And then he won't let
me.
me help him, which pisses me the fuck off.
He's like, I won't conform, Mom. Don't give me no band-aids, okay?
And like
No,
you
I'm
have
just
to, you have to like,
Well,
you have
No,
to
but that's a
clean it. You have to
teenager.
this,
That's
you have to,
teenage.
like-
That's teenager.
I'm like, oh my god, just let me help you for a minute. No, leave me alone. I'm like, oh my god. Okay, well, you're putting fucking hydrogen peroxide on that shit. I don't care. Nice a Kiki.
Oh, it's my cat. My cat.
Hi, Caddy.
So when are we doing this wine train?
I know. Okay, let's do this Clue game night on shrooms, and then
All right,
have a podcast
okay, wait.
after
Yeah.
explaining what the hell
While we're
happened.
playing Clue,
I
we'll
will
talk
commit
about
to
the
this.
train.
I will commit to this. I will try a game night of it
Yeah.
and see how that goes.
We'll have some food. We'll have a couple of drinks. I always drink
And
to loosen me up a little bit.
It'll be so unexpected. You'll be like, I'm the killer.
Exactly.
It won't. It'll just come out of nowhere. You won't even realize it.
Do you guys think it's weird that I'm like older than you and I'm like totally adult?
Do I think
like,
it's weird
doing all
that
this
you're a
shit with
different
you
age?
guys?
No.
No.
I'm aware that people are different ages.
Yes.
I don't
I'm
think
aware
it's
that
weird.
you're my aunt.
I don't think it's weird.
You've been there, done that.
No, but then I'm still like, yeah, let's go.
No, I think that's awesome. I think more people should be like that no matter what age. Live your life. Be happy.
Oh, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not.
You know, the
well,
thing is,
yeah.
like, so many people want me to have a relationship. Oh my gosh. Like my parents especially. You know how parents are. Like, I don't want to be the parent like my parents are. You know what I mean? Like, I hope.
a husband.
Yeah, and I think it's I don't know if it's a generational thing or if
It
it's
is,
just or if it's
100%.
just how different I am as a parent. I don't know, but it's they're
It's
constantly
generation.
like, you have to have a husband and you have to have a boyfriend and you. I'm like, no, I don't. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so happy
that's-
being just me.
That's
like,
definitely generation stuff. It's totally.
you think so? Or do
Yeah.
you think it's more like
Because it used to be, totally, wife, at-home wife, the husband
But they don't want me to
works
be
and-
an at-home wife and the husband working.
but my point is, like, the husband usually took care of the
Yeah.
provided. So that's what they think, that you need to find a man to provide for you.
I think it's
They-
to
like,
make
it's
me
like-
happy.
almost
I
like
think
it's like
more
whip-
that.
almost
Are
are
you
like
the provider? or
They're
are you
coming
the
from
leader?
a generation where it's like, women, you're a woman, you can't provide. It's like, you need to find a man.
I don't know that it's a providing situation. I think that they think
Well, then
I'm
what
not
else
going to
would
be
it be?
happy unless I have a man in my life. That's honestly what I think
Well,
it is.
you know what they think is to being happy is to being provided.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
That's what they think happy is.
Maybe. It's so sad.
Everyone's definition of happiness is different.
That's true. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So, you never know.
But they just like
A lot
it's
of
like,
factors.
Get the fuck off my back. I'm fine.
Well,
Get off my back.
Do you, girl?
I do.
We need to start a punk
No.
band. Tell the world how angry we are.
I'm not angry.
We're happy.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
Meow meow. So my cat is
He's clapping his hands.
clapping his
I know,
butt.
I'm so not used to cats.
Are you allergic?
No,
No?
I have horses and dogs, and I'm tripping out on your cat.
I saw you riding the horse. So you still? Where do you keep them on your property?
Yeah,
Okay.
right up in the Chatsworth Hills. It's nice.
Still Cheyenne?
All right.
Cheyenne.
Really?
Cheyenne's my pride and true.
Holding strong?
Yeah, since 2010.
How long have you had?
Long time.
2010.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah, everyone hates her, but
Why?
she's ornery.
Yeah.
But I love her.
What about the new
She-
one?
like
Who's
she
the new
only
one?
loves
She's a
you?
baby. Yeah, we
Like
get each
she-
other.
Like she's like doesn't deal with
You've had
anybody
her
She's
but you.
just
So
her
long.
personality is different, and I think she was abused when she was a baby, and you know our other horse Credence is we're
Credence?
friendly. Credence CCR,
Oh, I love
Credence
that.
Clearwater, yeah. And she's she was around people, and she's different, and she's funny, and she's silly, and you like that when they're cute and all over you and
Mhm.
stuff. But Cheyenne's different, so and she's big, and people just don't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Oh.
fun though.
I remember when your mom bought her for you. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best $1,500
Yeah.
we ever spent. Like, dang, $1,500?
Well, you remember that little fucking dog you had?
Which one?
Peanut?
Oh my gosh.
Remember that little dog? How much was
Yeah,
that? That
my
was like
boyfriend in
$1,500.
freaking 9th or 10th grade got him for me and then took him back.
Flew this dog out right
Yes.
from like
And
where?
it was I don't know. That was so
This dog
long
was
ago.
this dog was like lighter size.
Yeah, I named him Peanut. We even took him camping. Do you remember
yeah,
that?
yeah.
And then we broke up.
It was like a
and
Yorkie.
Yorkie.
Yeah.
And we broke up.
I
Was
couldn't
it the
believe-
apartment on Sherman Way?
Yes.
Could not
Yeah,
believe how small this dog was.
Tiny. Took him back, and years later,
I remember that.
I ended up coming across his Instagram and seeing that his brother had him.
Oh really?
So I'm like, oh, that's cool. Dog's still around, but yeah, son of a bitch.
Get you a dog and take it
Dog.
back. What
Who
the
does
fuck?
that?
Who does that? Yeah.
I don't know why I thought of that. That
I
was-
know. I'm kind of shocked you
little fucking-
mentioned that.
It was so funny.
Because of the farm days. He was
Yeah.
at the farm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that little dog.
But we still have Bean. Benjamin. Bean's the pug.
Bean dip.
Bean Dip.
Mhm.
He still lives with me. He's still alive. Yeah.
Yeah.
These dogs like they last a while.
I know. They're like
God,
damn.
I like the way you put it. These
They're
dogs,
just
they
different.
last
They're
a while.
different
They
than
last a
cats.
while. They could last longer,
They're
but
like children.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh
Yep.
my god.
But cats are too. Cats are like
they
that.
have such
They-
different
But
personalities.
not-
It's crazy.
Dogs are very dependent on you.
Mm-hmm.
Cats are more independent. You
For
know,
sure.
it's not the same. Like when I got home from work today, like I can't do anything because they're demanding that I feed them.
Right.
And I can't, no, I'm serious. And
Yeah,
I
no, I
can't
know.
do anything until I feed them.
Yeah.
And they're telling me and letting me know how they feel, and they want food right
How do they?
now.
How do they tell you?
Jump on me, bark, cry, everything.
Like, but they're probably like.
They scream. Yeah, they're
Scream.
bellowing at me like, I want dinner right now.
They howl.
Yeah, Benji howls. He gets so excited. He like, "Aroo," and he's just like,
Like a pug.
and he's deaf, so you can't even like
He
tell
is?
him. Yeah,
When did that happen?
just over the year, he could hear slightly, but you have to really holler at him. But and then when you do, by the time you holler at him and he hears you, he's all sensitive because you're yelling at him.
It's like
It's like, oh, I feel bad, but.
Cats are dependent on you too, though. I really think they are, and people don't understand how much
they love you on
cats
their time.
love.
Yeah, I'm not downplaying cats.
No, like I've always had cats. Always had cats. Like, and that's one thing. I think that's probably where you got your love of cats from, was because I've always had cats. And right now I don't have a cat, but I have Kiki. But I think they're just as dependent. I think they're just as, but they're not so. Okay, like Ginger wants to be. She's annoying. She's
Who's
so
Ginger?
my
You gotta
dog.
let the people.
My dog. She's annoying. She's so like I want to be with you 24 fucking 7. Like, you can't move without me being next to you. Sometimes it's a little annoying for me. With a cat, I'm like, they're like, if I say come here or they want it, it's like, okay, love, 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 and then they go, which is good for me.
Yeah.
Not my cat. My cat follows me into the bathroom everywhere I go.
He needs more attention. He wants more love.
Give enough.
But that's what I'm saying. They're not as independent as people portray them to be.
I can't come up to my cat and start like hugging. He'll be like, no, no, no. He does it on his own time. I'll be like laying in bed watching TV, and then he just jumps up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And he's like, love me now or else.
Love me now, or I'm gonna scratch you.
Yeah. And I won't tell you when I'm hungry. And they're all independent. But yeah,
I never really had a cat like that. I had a cat that's more.
He's weird.
That's more so loving. Like they follow you and they whatever, but they're very. I don't know. I guess they're all different.
You ever hear like when how a dog or a pet, their personality is like kind of like reflects of how their owner is?
Oh, absolutely. It looks like each other. Funny. I groomed this dog, and my boss was like,
Pugs N Bubbles.
Yes, it was like a little multi-poo almost, and she wanted him to have like a little, like a little top knot and very straight across ears. Well, I was like, okay, whatever. So I did what I could do, and my customer picked up her dog as this other customer was picking up the dog that I did, and my customer saw this lady picking up her dog, and she had a very short bob haircut.
Oh my god.
And she goes, "Oh, you look just like your mom." I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like,
"Oh, that's funny."
I felt kind of bad. I was like, "God, I hope she doesn't say anything." But I mean, it's true. Like, his ears were straight across, just like his mom. Her little bob was, looked just like his mom.
That's funny.
Yeah, that tends to happen. That's so weird. Yeah. Yeah, so point being, I'm weird. That's why my cat's weird.
Pretty much. You're kind of that way, too. Like, only come to me when I want you to come to me.
No, if you really need it, I'll be there.
And if you really need it, he'll be there.
Yeah. With my cat?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
He's never there.
As he's staring
it's like
at
he's
the
here
door.
now. Yeah, I think he's sensing Mo to come home,
Oh.
which is my roommate.
Is that
Oh, no, it's 10. No, he's not off for another hour.
He wants to be an outside cat.
What's he doing?
Wants to go freaking
He'll die out there. An eagle
He
will
won't die out there.
An eagle will
There's
come
too many
down.
coyotes in Chatsworth. I mean, they're taking dogs off the leashes and stuff.
Look.
No, I wouldn't let them out.
He's like, look.
Coyotes,
Feel
eagles,
bad, but it's true.
all the squirrels.
Yeah.
He wants to go play
All the
with
squirrels
the
that live here. Those squirrels
until
will.
he dies.
Those squirrels will gangbang and
Oh my God,
bust,
Tyler.
jump them up.
They gangbang him, I'm sure.
I saw one of those squirrels had an eye patch.
I don't know.
He's been
I've always
through
had
some
an
shit.
outside cat. I've never had an inside cat.
Yeah,
I've always had outside
he'll
cats.
die immediately.
Yeah, I had one, and the neighbor was like, "Hey, do you have a white cat?" And
You
how
don't
come it-
anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Coyotes got him. It's unfortunate.
Well, look,
but
last time we had an outdoor cat, he broke his rib. So, like, when you put your palm and try to pick him up, you'd feel like his bone was like this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You'd
Like
feel-
sticking out?
Yeah,
We got in fights.
sticking straight out. Like if you're robbing a bank through your shirt.
He made so many cats. I live there now. Like there's like all these stray cats that are around, and
But
they
people
all
probably feed him too.
look like him. Like he
Aw.
was
Aw.
the daddy for.
He Genghis Khan'd it.
Oh my gosh, these cats! There's so many cats around that are like, that he was the grandpapa.
He was doing it.
He was doing it. He was the grandpapa for all them.
He Genghis Khan'd it.
Yep, for sure. There's so many. I'm like, oh my gosh, like how many?
The whole neighborhood is.
The whole neighborhood looks like.
You
looks
test
like
all the
he
cats
was-
there. It's like, yep, it's all from the same.
They're all from him.
This is all one family.
But no, I've always had cats, and like I've had that they've all been outside, and then they fight and they mark their territory, and they like, no, this is my house.
Like,
don't
that's what they
mess
do.
with. That's what they do.
But once you have an indoor cat long enough,
Yeah,
you're like,
he's
no
been-
way he's going outside.
Yeah, I agree.
Eagle comes down.
What, you think they lose their
Right
instincts
away.
on how to be a cat because
Absolutely
they're
not.
inside?
They don't.
They didn't grow up with instincts.
But
What do you mean
talking
they didn't
about
grow up with instincts? They have
Yeah.
natural cat
danger.
instincts.
They're looking at Netflix and people drunk arguing. They don't know what anything is.
He looks out the window. He's like, "Oh my God, please let me out there."
There's a cat in our complex, the alpha cat, right? He's like an all black cat, and like right out my window, there's a kind of a brick wall, and the black cat will stand on the brick wall and just stare at my window while my cat's in the window.
Yeah.
And the black cat's like, "What are you doing in there? You know, why don't you come out here?"
Yeah.
So I know
Kiwi-
immediately.
He needs
talking
to go out there.
shit.
Yeah, he's
He
talking
needs-
shit.
He needs to go out there and show him what's up.
No ways. Immediately. I'd be. The second he walks out the door, I'm gonna be rushing him to the vet. Putting him in the back of a.
He's big enough now. He can hold his own.
No.
He ain't a baby anymore.
He's a baby forever.
Well,
I remember he used
Well,
to
let's
be so
test
skinny.
it. Throw him outside. See what happens.
I'm all for it.
Throw him outside. Close the door. He's here.
I know. I always threaten my dogs. I'm like, I wonder what they would do if I just dropped them off at the pound. They never came back. I would never.
Oh my God.
Just
They'd
sit
be
around
like,
like,
what
what?
the hell?
I wonder what they would think. You know, sometimes.
Where's my
yeah.
mama?
They're like, this is a sick joke. What kind of sick joke? is
Sleeping in my bed all upside down, head on the pillows. Like, you guys got a lot of nerve.
I know, I see your pictures. They're like, my dog is the same thing. She sleeps with me, and she's just everywhere, all over that bed. I have no room.
It's crazy how
She's
such
the
a
littlest
small
dog,
dog can
right?
take up so
Yeah.
much
They
space.
take up the whole bed. She's so small, and it's like, how do you take up the whole freaking bed?
Yeah.
The whole bed. Like, you can't move. And
She's a
then
princess. Princess doggy.
Rachel gets mad at me because I'll move her. Like, I just move her over. She's like, stop, Mom. She's just a dog. I'm like,
Ryan does that too. Puts them all on my side.
I'm like, no, this is my
I'll
bed.
sleep in a ball.
It's not her bed.
Yeah, when I had Holly, my last dog, you know, it's like sometimes you gotta give him a little spanking to punish him. And one time every single time, even if it was like real light, like the second I spanked her, I'm like,
Yeah.
you go, oh, I'm sorry. You have to learn though.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you just constantly feel bad. Like you don't. It's like animals are funny.
Yeah.
We love them.
Yes.
We don't. What's all the memes? We don't deserve them.
No, we don't deserve dogs.
That one that I sent you?
Yeah.
That husky
Mhm.
with the baby? Oh my God, it was so cute.
Yeah, don't get a husky. If anybody's thinking about getting a husky, don't. They're great, but they shed like a motherfucker.
So funny. It's
but they have
do.
personality like crazy.
Too much. It's too much. Probably my least favorite dog to groom.
Really?
Yeah, so much
yeah,
So
hair.
bad.
they
Hey,
much
do you
hair.
guys do you
shed
guys do you
so
guys use those
much.
things where you comb it
The
and
rake.
then you click it and it do those work?
Yes, this is like an Amazon thing.
Yes.
Is it okay?
They work, but not as efficiently as
Mm.
A rake.
you
Not
think
for like
they-
a business grooming place.
The best thing you could do is just, blow the hair out,
Mm.
all the undercoat.
Well,
Well,
you guys want to quit it here?
Yeah.
Pugs and Bubbles, y'all.
One last
Pugs
time.
and Bubbles.
Promote your Pugs and Bubbles.
DM for an appointment.
Instagram, right?
Yes.
She's the best. No, really, she is. I remember my dog does not like her nails cut because I hurt her one time. I'm sorry. Bad mom. But,
Wow.
and I took her to Lacey, and she just went, chit, 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 chit. I was like, what the hell?
I'm fast.
It was so fast.
Yeah, in other words,
I'm good.
She's good.
She's good.
Pugs and Bubbles.
Legit.
Thanks for having me, cousin.
Of course.
Yeah, this was fun.
Yeah,
Thanks
you
for
guys
having
for
me.
doing it. Yeah, of course.
Thanks
Awesome.
for letting me join in your.
Well, tune back in after this game night.
Yeah.
Looking
Yeah.
forward to it.
Maybe we'll
Yeah,
do it.
Couple weeks.
Yeah, we'll do a second one
Yes.
with us again.
Yes.
Yeah,
And then we'll
I'll
talk
let you-
about it.
I'll
Yeah.
let you know how it went.
All right. Later, everybody.
Later.